Well, hey there, it's Jen.
And Elka, and welcome back to the third part of our three-part series. And today, our topic is the real way to create POD products that actually get seen and bought. If this is something that you've always wanted to understand and know more about so that you can start selling on print-on-demand platforms like Zazzle and Etsy and Shopify, then here is your chance to have a discussion with us. We are live and we want to make sure that the chat blows up. So make sure you're asking a lot of questions and we'll do our best to answer them. And this is the final session in this series. And if you've been with us for the last 2 days, you know we've been building this conversational intentionally. On day one, we talked about why most sellers don't get consistent sales and how it's usually a structure problem, not a talent problem. And then on day two, we talked about choosing your niche and ideal customer and why clarity here changes everything. So today we're talking about what happens after those decisions are made, because this is where a lot of sellers feel frustrated. They say that my designs are good, I've chosen a niche, I'm trying to be intentional, but they still feel invisible. Their product listings aren't being seen. So today we want to talk about the difference between creating products and creating products that actually sell. So who's with us? I want to make sure that people are on. We don't have enough people on yet. We've got to go and get that chat like just blowing up so that we can start our topic. And we want to talk about our first topic, which is creating versus selling. And we want to make sure that everyone's here and saying hello. And Daliha, I think I said it right now, is excited for this. I may not be able to stay long, but because I'm waiting for my son's doctor's appointment, but excited to catch the replay. Absolutely. Okay, and Elena's here and Shireen's here. So we do have some people on. Awesome. Did you even want to still send an email to everybody? I don't know. Good morning. There's Carla. So good. We've got some people on. Let's make this conversation happen. All right. So let's get into creating versus selling. Do you want to take the first point or should I?
You'll do it and I can send an email out.
Okay. All right. So creating versus selling. This is a really big point. And one of the biggest mindset shifts sellers have to make is this. Creating a product is not the same as selling a product. Okay. So, tell me in the chat, because we have a small group on, I just want to hear, what do you think the difference is between creating a product and selling a product? And hi, Dama Vida and Ella's here. Okay, and Elena's here. Awesome. Tell me the difference between creating versus selling a product. Does anyone know? And Suzanne is here. Awesome. Yeah. So again, I'm going to put the title back up because maybe some of you missed it. Today we are talking about the real way to create POD products that actually get seen and bought. Okay. And the first topic we're talking about is creating versus selling. And I'm just getting people to make themselves interact with me a little bit. Intention. Ella says yes. Very good. Anybody else? I'm pushing the envelope. Usually if someone's like, if I'm in a chat like this and someone asks me that question, it's like, oh my goodness, I don't know the answer. I even do know the answer, but I don't want to say anything in case I'm wrong. So, but yes, the point here is to be interactive and ask yourself, do I really honestly know exactly what the difference is? Because it's the biggest difference in making a sale or not. You make the design, it's selling, people want to buy it. Very good, Shireen. Yeah. Okay. But so the part about like this is all creation, right? It's not just the act of selling and the act of creating. It's the act of creating to sell, which is a very big difference. So that, and I'll go into it a little bit more, but thank you for your comments. Okay, so what you do is you create something beautiful. You can spend time on the design. You can upload consistently. But if you're still not selling, that doesn't mean that your work isn't good. It just means it's not positioned. Okay, and so the positioning part is what gives you that edge to selling. So does everyone understand? Like we said the word positioning now, but basically intentional in such a big way, because intentional in I have researched my avatar. I know the niche that this person wants to buy in. I know what the use of that product is going to be. I know that the use is not just a use. I can't just skip on any other details. I have to know what color they like, what design they like, what script they like, what needs to be on there. Like, should it have a photo? Should it have a name, a monogram? Should it have a fancy design? Should it be in watercolor? Should it be in a graphic? Should it be like marble? Should it be glitter? Should it be geometric retro? I don't know, right? So you have to get so detailed. And then even when you're designing it for use, do you know exactly what that needs to be on the product for the use, right? This is much more applicable when you're in business and stationary items, because more stuff has to be on there. And if you don't have like the invitation wording properly done as a sample text, or if you don't have the information that a business owner needs to put on their business card as sample text on your business card, because you haven't done the research, then that is no longer an intentional product, right? So it has to be positioned in a way that it meets the need, or like what we like to say, meets the brief. And then even then, your designing could be off, right? You might have positioned the text in a way that makes it look like it's unprofessional, or you have put the photo in a sort of weird, awkward way where no one expects it, and they go like, I don't know if I like that. And so there's so many layers, and all of these layers need to be addressed so that the answer is a yes, a heck yes, from the purchaser or the customer, or whatever you want to call the avatar, the customer you're targeting. Okay, so selling happens when these three things come together: the right customer, the right product, the right positioning. And I think I just went really detailed with the right positioning. When one of these is missing, the product stays invisible. And the positioning really is the biggest piece of what you need to deliver. But the other two, the right customer and the right product, are what you need to decide on. So the right customer, product is a decision. And then the positioning is also a decision based on your research as to what you're delivering. But you have to also act it out, right? You can easily say, I'm going to target a mom. And then you're going to say, I'm going to target her with a t-shirt. So that was easy. But then the rest of it is this big black void. And when one of those is missing, and usually it's the right positioning, then that's going to create problems, because it's not going to result in a sale. Now, before we get to point 2, I want to just have like a chat check-in to see how you're doing with that. Do you understand that? Is that becoming clearer and clearer to you? And who's starting to realize, oh my goodness, that's actually happening to me. I'm making a bunch of products, I'm creating, but I'm not positioning and targeting, so that I can't get that sale because I'm just putting a lot of work in for nothing. Okay. Carla says, I'm creating something you want to sell. Selling is finding a buyer for your creation. No, actually, and this is probably one of the reasons that you're still having trouble, is it's not that way. You start by finding the buyer, and then you create for that buyer. So thank you so much for your honesty, but that's a big shift that needs to be made. Okay. All right. Do you want to do number 2?
All right. So number 2, here we go. So why good designs often don't get seen. Well, this is something that we see all the time, and sellers assume visibility is random some of the times. I know that some people are wondering if it's just because of the algorithm, or because Zazzle promoted on their homepage, or whatever, right? Or they think if it doesn't sell, the design must not be good. But often this isn't the issue. The issue is that the product, first of all, isn't clearly positioned with titles and tags, or it is not aligned with buyer intent, or it isn't being interpreted correctly by the person, right? Or by yourself as the designer, okay? In terms of what we speak about, what makes a good design is being intentional, but that means that you have the right product choice, the right design that goes on that product, and does that meet a need that somebody is looking for? Okay, so marketplaces in general, Zazzle, POD, Shopify, Etsy, all those places, they don't reward effort, they reward clarity. So they reward signals that they can understand when it comes to the algorithm, so titles and tags, a good design, etc. So when your product clearly communicates who it's for and why it matters, visibility improves.
Mm-hmm. So that was a lot, but and this is actually a really big mindset shift. And I want you to post in the chat if you understand what Jen just said. Repeat the part about the algorithm. Just say that again, because that's big. It's really big.
Let me just see where I was at. What do you mean by the algorithm? Sorry.
I can read it out if you want.
There's a specific sentence.
When your product clearly communicates who it's for and why it matters, visibility improves. Right? And the visibility is the platform giving you that visibility, right? There's two different ways, right? The customer is looking, so they're searching, so they're finding it because you are connecting with that customer by labeling it properly. But the visibility also comes from the actual decision to make that product. We just had this example with one of our clients in our Design Divas membership. It was a lovely design, but she wanted to make it for the 49th birthday, not the 50th birthday. And the 49th birthday, so that she could cover any year, was not as visible and wasn't going to give her that visibility compared to making it a milestone birthday, like a 50, 60, 40, whatever, where people already, first of all, spend more money in buying, like for milestone parties, right? They maybe won't buy for a 47th or a 49th, but they'll buy for a 50th, for example. And then secondly, those keywords are searched more. And so the algorithms, whether it's on Etsy or Shopify or Zazzle or Redbubble or Society6, any of the platforms where you're trying to sell your products, if the actual platform has bots that the algorithm, they have algorithm code in them, and the algorithm code is based on trends of shopping habits. And so the trends of shopping habits that they've done all the research for, so that they can get their customers to land on their pages and sell as quickly as possible, that's what you need to jump into, right? You can't just go like, well, I'm going to make it for a 49-year-old because she's getting left out and I want it to be for all ages. But that's too much explanation, right? Instead, it has to be specifically milestone birthdays are basically bought for. So the algorithm's already primed for that. And because of that, I'm going to make it for a milestone. And then I'll make the date or the year adjustable on Zazzle, which you can do. You can't do that on the other platforms. And then all of a sudden it becomes more flexible, and that person who's 49 can buy that if they like it, even if they saw it as a 50th birthday. But at least then that product was seen and purchased after the customer modified it. Whereas if you just say a 49 birthday, no one's going to look for that. The algorithm's not set up for that, right? And so it's really important to play the game with the algorithm, because the algorithm wants more and more buyers on the platform. And so don't make it hard for them by providing products that they already know aren't going to sell. Okay. Anybody want to comment on that? Because the chats are pretty quiet right now. We need to have some people back in. Come on, let me see what you thought of that. It's a huge one. We don't have a lot of points today. This is already the second, and we're only 14 minutes in. We need more interaction. We're just like opening the doors. You're finally understanding why your stuff isn't selling on the platforms, and it's quiet. Is it just that we blew your minds? Okay, so you can make a very beautiful design, but if something isn't a target objective to begin with, and you haven't done your research to see what truly is like you can call it popular, or you can call it in demand, or you can call it like most searched, or trending. You can just say all those words, but it all means the same thing. It's the buyers looking for it at this moment in time, and you have it offered, but somehow in a weird way that they're never going to connect with you because you're not targeting that to start with. Okay. Advice on how to figure out what the algorithm would promote. Well, see now we're playing a game. When you ask that, and somehow that's actually kind of typical of guys like that sort of thing, and it's not you personally, but it's just that's right away like, okay, tell us what the algorithm wants. But that's not how it works. It's what does the shopper want, right? The algorithm is based on shopper behavior, and you have to be the one that knows your customer and knows your niche as to what that shopper wants. And that's easy. You can go and look up on Google Trends. You can go like anywhere where your particular shopper hangs out, Pinterest, social media, TikTok, anywhere, and you're getting intel. And that intel is then what gives you the ability to say, oh, okay, that is something that that person in that niche wants. And those are the words that they're using to talk about it. And so I'm going to make a product specifically for that, and I'm going to label it that way, the way they're talking about it. Okay. Dama says, I'm bad at SEO, but first of all, it's a learned thing, right? And it's even based on each platform. The keywords are different, right? So if you did use the words from Everbee from Etsy and you use them, let's say on Zazzle, you could get some that don't work as well, even though on Etsy they work really well. So it's very platform specific. And that's one of the reasons where we come in, because it's not that this is our only skill set, but we have been on the Zazzle platform for 19 years. And we have seen the transition in the tags and titles that are effective. And that's helpful because you're getting that training in the Profit by Design Academy and in our Sold Bootcamp. Anytime you come and pay for some training with us, depending on the level of payment and the program we offer, you're going to get training on how it works on the Zazzle platform, which is our favorite platform. But then you also in your niche, and we're very good at all these different niches because we've taught so many people, and we also sell in all those niches. So that makes us familiar with what is needed to currently label for the trending tags and keywords, which is important. It's not an AI trick yet, but we do have an AI bot that we have developed that's specific for Zazzle that we've put into our Profit by Design Academy that's going to help you with the titles and tags and descriptions. So it's just a little slip out there, just like, yeah, little tidbit in case someone's really in need of that. That's something that you will get as a prompt in our Profit by Design Academy. Okay, if I'm tweaking titles and tags, should I be looking at the bubbles on Zazzle to see what customers are using too? The bubbles at the top, yes, but it only needs to, like, you have to actually have those words connect, like they have to be relevant to your design and what you're actually offering. Otherwise, you're spamming. Nina says, because I couldn't participate in the Design Divas today, I had time for research and actually found a niche of wedding invitations where only 19 invitations are offered, and they have a lot of views. Oh, it's you, Karin. And we're really sorry. We're trying to figure out why it knocked you out, but you're back in, okay? Because you paid double. I didn't realize that that's your username. Okay. Okay, so because of that, I'm actually worried for you because you don't want to have only 19 invitations. Unless this is a brand new trend, then unfortunately you are in a niche. Like if you see those 19 and it's been around for a while, then that's not good for you because it means nobody else, including all the other sellers on Zazzle, who would be very smart to get into that niche, haven't gotten into it yet, and therefore it doesn't really need to get into because it's not popular or it didn't work. Okay, so again, you've got to know what you're doing in that wedding niche. If you're trying to start in wedding, just learn a lot about the wedding niche. Because you wouldn't know that sort of intel that I just said, but we would actually recommend not to go into that niche as your only niche or just try it a little bit, but don't go full on in. Rather compete in a niche that's a bigger niche where there's more competition, where you'll know that there's actually more products and customers. And that seems counterintuitive because everyone always teaches about an undiscovered niche, and it's like they come and go. You want to also sell coffee. You don't want to sell something that's a new drink altogether, right? You also want to just sell your version of coffee because coffee's accepted, tea's accepted. But some other version, like some weird drink that's absolutely new, nobody has any idea as to what it is. You try to sell that, like a 19 versions, like 19 invitations in that little sub niche. First of all, you don't have the demand, and secondly, it may never take off, right? Let's see. What else? I'll watch the replay. Okay. Is it worth it to go back to old designs with no views or few views and update the titles and tags? Absolutely, as long as you do what we just talked about here, right? You're supposed to ask, am I targeting a customer that really will buy this? Am I designing in a niche that's in demand that people will pay money for? And then have I met the brief? And the design, the way it's laid out, what's offered on it, all of that, if that meets the brief and it's an intentional product, then yes, it would be worth doing. But otherwise, call it a day and learn and move on. Okay. And then Nina says, I try it with special designs, especially for this niche. Sure, go for it. And then let it go. Okay. And anything else? Okay. That was you. Do you want me to do point number 3? Unless there's more, because we've really gotten into, like, the visibility is coming up, because visibility before perfection. And so we've already talked a lot about visibility, but there's more to it, okay? So let's just dive right in and then start that conversation. Another mistake sellers make is waiting for things to be perfect. So that's a second visibility, literally tweaking endlessly, overthinking, hesitating to move forward. But perfection doesn't create sales, visibility does. So the goal here is to actually not upload endlessly, but the goal is to build intentionally, observe results, refine strategically. So exactly what we just told Karin, which is put a few up, check it out, see if it's worth it, okay? So we're not uploading endlessly. So even some of those older designs, if you were uploading endlessly and had that strategy in mind when you were uploading those products, even though they may not be perfect, if they still meet the brief and people might like them and they meet a need, then yeah, you might not even just update the titles and tags. You might actually just repost them, fixing the things that you now learned. And then you'll have a better chance of actually getting the views after the sales after you start getting views. Okay. I don't know if there's any comments on that, but if there, I'll just finish my point. And so when sellers understand this, they stop taking results personally and start treating them as data. Okay. So that's also what we want to do is just look at this from, and this brings it all the way back to point 1, where instead of just creating, you're targeting by creating something with the objective of selling it. And because of that, you just take away the personal part of it, because instead it's like, oh, they don't like my designs, or I'm not a good designer, or I wasn't meant to earn money on any of these print on demand platforms. Instead, it's like, I tried this design, I targeted this customer, and I delivered on the design and everything that the customer would have wanted, and it didn't work. So then you can go deeper, and that's what we're talking about now. Is A, you made it visible. B, what happened when you made it visible? Was it ever getting views? If it got views, great, but it didn't sell, then that's your next question. If it never got views, then as we talked about in the previous point, a lot of times it is the title tags that need to be fixed in order to have that visibility. And that takes practice and coaching and mentoring so that you get the hang of it. Whichever way works for you, so that ramp it up quickly by asking questions from us, in our paid programs, or you're going to have to do a lot of trial and error and see what's happening. But if then you do get views and no sales, then you know it's that last point, right? Customer, niche, and then purpose. Then it's the intention. So it's somehow in whether or not you did all the designing properly, the templates are proper, the way that it's presented is proper, but it's not even just a proper, it's also a design aesthetic. And did you meet the right colors? Like you could say pink and it could be so many different shades of pink, but it's not the one that the customer expected, for example. So then everything's right, but your conversion on your product is very low. If that's the case, then you know, back to the drawing board, I need more help with designing and structure of what kind of offerings I'm going to make with that intentional product. And so that's the next thing. But it's all data at that point. It's not, ooh, well, I made this design and no one's interested in my 49-year-old like birthday celebration card. Instead, it's like, I didn't meet the brief and I'll just try again. Okay. Karine says, if I'm revisiting old products, should I delete the old ones? No, just because in case they might sell, right? And you're changing the title and tags anyway, because it's different. So you're relisting it. And if you want to be very diligent, because we love it when people don't spam, then change a little bit of something on it. Change the photo, change the names of the people in the sample text, stuff like that, so that it looks like a new design, even though most, like 80% of it is the same, right? It's still your design. You're just putting out a new version that's fixed, that might meet the target better in terms of selling. And so therefore, like the Zazzle platform in this case is going to be so happy with you because you're actually providing the product that's going to be more sellable. Okay. You want to I'll put up the next banner and then we can talk about that. You want to go for it?
Okay. All right, number 4, the real gap, implementation without feedback. So this is where most sellers stall. They understand concepts. They've watched videos, just like you're watching this one today, taken notes, but they're still unsure if they're applying themselves or things correctly. Okay, so this is why guided implementation matters. When someone can say, yes, this niche makes sense, this product is aligned, or this is what to adjust next, progress accelerates. So confidence comes from knowing that you're building the right thing and not just doing something. And that's where Elke and I come in with our support and of course these free YouTube live videos. And we're going to be talking about the Sold Bootcamp in a minute here, but having that access to somebody who can really reassure you you're on the right track and you're doing the right thing makes such a big difference, especially because as a solo entrepreneur, whether you're working on Zazzle or just in POD in general, not everybody gets that feedback. Elke and I, and I've told this story a couple times, and I don't know if you've maybe heard it, but when we first started out on Zazzle, we had each other. And so we could bounce ideas off each other and say, hey, that looks really great, or why don't you try this, or what about this product? And so we had that connection, but not everybody on Zazzle has a mother-daughter relationship or friendship that they have where they're able to speak to each other and get that feedback. And so that's why Elke and I decided to become coaches and help you understand that you're not alone, right? And that we are here to help guide you.
Yes. Yes, and that is so important. And feedback from, like Jen and I had feedback, and you might actually, while we're talking about this story, you might go like, yeah, but it's like the blind leading the blind because the two of us were still trying to work it out. But as we got better, if something worked that Jen did, then I would ask her. And then if something worked that I did, she would ask me. And so it wasn't just that we were just like, I don't know, what should we do next? It was actually, okay, tell me how you just did this. And then we built on each other's successes. But now you have that option to join our community and hear that specifically what's actually working right now, because we're working with hundreds of people that have stores. We know all of their different stores, and we have insights into all the different niches and all the different types of products and all the different levels at which people are working on their Zazzle store, whether you're an absolute beginner or coming into the Zazzle marketplace, and maybe a lot of our sellers have Etsy shops as well, or Shopify shops as well, in this really wonderful balance of what works on one platform and what works on another platform. It's really fun to be able to coach and mentor people who are at all stages of their POD journey to success. And so it's really exciting, and that gives us so much knowledge. Obviously, we're not going to tell you everything that our million-dollar seller, a multi-million-dollar seller, has done if you're just in our $27 sold bootcamp. But on the other hand, we bring as much as we can in terms of knowledge to each of our programs to help you with where you're at. And if it's necessary, sometimes we give information out so that it's really important that you take that information and run with it so that you can overcome where you're stuck. Okay. Couple of questions in the chat. Does keeping non-selling products hurt our views or sales? No. And then what do you mean by meeting the brief? Dolores says. It just means that you've met all the different things and you're still working on that. Dolores is one of our Profit by Design Academy experienced people. But it just goes to show Dolores is ready, willing, learning already in our community, and yet it still takes time to make that shift, especially if you're just under the impression that you can just post anything up and it'll start selling. You have to start with, who am I targeting? What is it that I'm offering them in that niche? And then the product type, and then meeting the need by fulfilling all the parts of the brief, right? Design, aesthetics, colors, patterns, functionality, everything, and labeling it properly, right? So that it can be seen. So all of those have to meet the brief, which is just a fancy word for saying all the bits and pieces have to have a check mark, so that you can say with more and more confidence that this should sell. So that if it doesn't sell, because that happens too, then you know that maybe you didn't post it at the right time. And then there's so many layers and levels at which you realize, oh, well, it wasn't, I just randomly posted something. I didn't even pay attention to half the stuff I should have. And this is probably why it didn't sell. So now especially in a seller's market where you're selling to people who are shopping, look, if you walk into a department store, which actually is kind of weird because most people shop on Amazon now, but even if you're shopping online, you will see, like right now, it's January, right? And what are you seeing everywhere? Valentine's Day stuff. You probably saw Valentine's Day stuff even before New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because the merchants, whether it's a physical store or something online, are already preparing to get ready to buy. And it's a sales cycle. And so if you are making something like Nina is her username, but it's Karin, she's doing wedding invitations, go ahead and try to do those 19 wedding invitations, but you can't actually make it really happen right now unless you get lucky, because people made the wedding invitations for the wedding market back in September and October, because people are already buying wedding invitations. And so the algorithm and the platform ask that you post, especially on Zazzle, about 2 months earlier than when you expect to sell it. So even that has to meet the brief. Did I publish it at the right time? So all of these things together need to happen in order to have the biggest chance of selling. And then even then it might be a random, nope, didn't work. I'll have to try again. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's that. Let me just see what's the next banner. The next banner is join the Soul Bootcamp. Do you want to do this part?
Sure. Well, we are here to invite you into the Soul Bootcamp. This is where something exciting happens. We've created this Sold Bootcamp extremely intentionally, and it starts on Monday next week. And I just wanted to say too, the timing, because it's every day next week starting Monday. It's at 12 p.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern for the main sessions. And then we have a VIP session, which starts half an hour after the main training session, starting on the Tuesday, going through for Friday. And that is for a half an hour where you get to be in a small, intimate group with myself and Elka to ask even more questions regarding the training. So February 26th to the 30th, we're hosting this 5-day live experience called the Sold Bootcamp, and it's a guided bootcamp to help you clarify your niche and ideal customer, build intentional products with selling in mind, understand what actually creates visibility and momentum for your products, and then stop guessing and start building with structure. Okay. And this isn't a course that you're just going to disappear into, and it's not overwhelming. It's only an hour each day, and it's not expensive. It's only $27 because the goal is implementation, not information overload. And the bootcamp was designed as the bridge between knowing what to do and actually doing it correctly. And for those who want to go even deeper into all of that, it naturally prepares you for the Profit by Design Academy. Okay, this is the first step before you go into the Profit by Design Academy. We've spoken about the PDA experience before. If that's something that you want to jump right into, you definitely can do that. The Sold Bootcamp is very different than the PDA. Obviously, it's a smaller informational thing, and it's not everything that's in the PDA. But the Sold Bootcamp, you actually get, in addition to in the Profit by Design Academy experience, you get an entire month with us. But if you want a taste of what it will be like to get that feedback and interactive coaching, where we're giving you critiques on your designs, critiques on your avatar, critiques on your brand, then this is where the Sold Bootcamp comes into play in your journey.
Okay, I've put all the links in. I put the Sold Bootcamp link in, and I also put in the Profit by Design Academy link in. And I had a question about, if you sign up for the Profit by Design Academy, do you just get the Sold Bootcamp? No, they're separate. And what we do in the Sold Bootcamp, as Jen said, is just the beginning. Like it's enough for you to end up with a chosen niche, a design, like an avatar description. You make a product, you figure out how to set up your Pinterest account. We review it, and we review your design, review your store, and then you pin it to Pinterest. And so you've done the whole process in sort of a very minimal, basic way. So you get a really good understanding of what's involved. And then, but if you really just want to get the whole thing and no gatekeeping, then the Profit by Design Academy, and we will spend a month working on not just those rudimentary things, but you get to make 100 products that we actually tell you exactly what to make and what to design, so that you don't have to even understand who you target, what niche to put it in, or even the meeting the brief, because we are going to not only tell you what to design, but then we're going to check your designs, and we will actually give you pointers on how much of a change, like little tiny changes that are going to make big differences, and also making sure your titles and tags are right so you get views. Some of our clients had their products sell even within the time that they were in the Profit by Design Academy extra bonus month of coaching. And that, like, just within 2 weeks, there's products started to sell. We can't make any income claims, but if you do it right, that's the whole point. We're just giving you all of our knowledge and all of what works and putting it into the Profit by Design Academy so that you can understand and start doing, so that you learn and go like, ooh, now I understand. And then because of that, then you start to realize what is involved, and you start to feel more comfortable doing it on your own, because you are actually getting shown initially how it all works, and to the point where you might be successful, even though we can't make any income claims because it's technically education. Although we're trying to teach you something where you have to make money. So we have to be careful with how we talk, because we're really just trying to educate you But that's what you're doing by following through in this Profit by Design Academy, is you're actually learning and educating yourself based on the things that we make you do. But the Sold Bootcamp, for anyone who is currently just on the fence and not really sure yet, is a great way for us to spend some time together and for you to get a better feeling for whether you even like Zazzle and whether you want to continue with it. And then you know exactly where to go as your next step if you just loved it and loved our coaching. Okay.
We have a question here from Elle, and says that, is it okay if you can't be live every day? Yes, it's okay. The only thing that I want to let everyone know is that if you would like access to the replays, so the actual training sessions, then you need to upgrade to the VIP, which is an extra $97, but you get lifetime access to those videos. And then in addition to that, obviously, you get to come into the VIP sessions, which are the 30 minutes after our main training session in a small intimate group, where you get to ask us any questions. And I know sometimes where you say, well, you get to ask us any questions, and people are like, well, what if I don't have any questions to ask? Well, we will definitely help you figure what to ask, or we will go into your store and we will give you advice. Those VIP sessions are not for you to feel like you're put on the spot. It's for you to get extra information out of the training session.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And Dama says, is it must to have a personal website to sell more on Zazzle? No, you don't need to have a personal website.
No. And actually, that's why we teach the way we teach in the Profit by Design Academy. We make sure that there's no need for social media. There's no need for a website. In fact, it comes right back to all the things we talked about today. If you can target a customer properly and make sure that you focus on the selling first before the creation, then you have all the pieces to actually sell organically. And that's the part that makes it more passive for us, when everyone else keeps going like, well, it's not a passive business. But it becomes passive if you do the work and create those products that will become passive sellers for you, so that you don't have to actively keep promoting them very much. But obviously, if they start to sell, we have a whole bunch of strategies in the Profit by Design Academy, so you can leverage them and get even more things to sell. So it's all there for you. It's a whole business plan, which is great. And so we're in this live series. We want all of you that are not in the Profit by Design Academy already, but not sure if you want to be in there, to come into the Sold Bootcamp, because it's a really great way to test out whether you like our coaching, you want to learn a little bit about what it's all about, and also just for anyone even who has a store, it's a really great way to get feedback. We usually do store reviews for about the same price, and we aren't doing store reviews right now. So if you want a store review, we're not getting like a full-on detailed store review, but you're getting all the things that are the most important parts to set up your foundation in your store, as we will be checking that and we'll be teaching you about that. So it's so much win compared to, it's really worth doing. Everybody loves our Sold Bootcamps, and I think it's highly important to get into this one, because we don't have another one scheduled for the future at this point. Okay. All right, so let me just everyone's got the links and we're all good to go. Are there any more questions? Because otherwise we should head out. And we want to really say thank you for being here. Who signed up for the Sold Bootcamp already? I know there's a couple people that did. Who signed up? Come on. And then also I can put the link in again. Click the link, because it's going to be lots of fun. This is your opportunity to keep going with us. Did you enjoy this series? And did you enjoy the last series? And if you found a lot of value, then you're going to find even more value in all of the things that we are offering here. I signed up. Yes, Ruth. Yes, that's great. Okay. Congratulations. You're on your way. Okay.
Exciting. Well, we can't wait.
Sure, the date on your Sold Bootcamp, it reads 2025. Yeah, what happened there, Jen? Like, there's still not I don't know.
Maybe someone can point this out to me, because I tried to find it and I'm not too sure. October. Yeah, where is it? Let me know so that I can fix it, because
Just a typo somewhere. We're holding it in 2026, Pat, and you've been with us forever. So, but thank you so much for letting us know. You can, yes.
As I said here, well, I'll just screen share really quickly the boot camp, but it's on the registration form. Oh, okay, thank you. I fixed the gotcha. I fixed the website, but I will fix that. But yes, we're starting on January 26th. Monday next week, and you can register now by clicking that button. I will make sure that I fix the dates, but the dates are outlined here. Someone did ask about the schedule of events on what time. So like I mentioned, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for each of these days, January 26, 27, 28, and 29. And the 30th. And then we have the VIP sessions starting on the Tuesday, which is January 27th, then the 28th and the 29th. And it's 30 minutes after each call, and we will be there for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on the discussion. And then the replays will only be available to people who upgrade to the VIP sessions.
There we go. And yes, we will miss all of you too. That's why you have to come and sign up for our Soul Bootcamp if you haven't already. And then really though, if you've done the Soul Bootcamp before, you really just need to go into the Profit by Design Academy, because yeah, you already know what's coming in the Soul Bootcamp. And also in the Profit by Design Academy, we do it again. We just get more detailed and put more emphasis on everything, because you're now in the bigger training. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being here the whole time. We will miss you as well. If there's anyone who's watching this as a replay, put some comments in, ask questions. Our team keeps looking at the comments to see if someone who wasn't able to make it live had some questions. We're here for you. But more than just answering your questions from the videos, we're here for you because we want you to succeed on print on demand, and specifically with this training that we're offering in the next little bit is on Zazzle. So make sure that you come into our programs if you haven't already, because we're not holding anything back. So if you want to know, please come in. Okay, take care.
Bye.